And then I also listen to Screaming Bloody Murder, which is also one of my favorite Sum 41 albums as well. But they never play it live. Please play more of it. No, well, you can't. They're done.
They're breaking up.
They're done. I'm very sad about it.
The Emo Social Club has been reviewing albums from 20 years ago as though you've never heard them. It's our first time. It's not. We are reviewing records that we love, records that changed the scene, changed the environment, changed our brain chemistry at some points. On this episode, we are talking about Sum 41's All Killer, No Filler. And Lizzie, before we get into our thoughts and opinions on this record, let us know a little more about Sum 41, a little more about All Killer, and a little less about No Filler.
This was their debut album. It came out via Aquarius Records in Canada and Island Records here. This was released on May 8th, 2001, peaked at number 13 on the Billboard 200 charts, with Fat Lip at number 1 on the alternative airplay charts. This also was number 9 on the Canadian Billboard charts as well. This was one of 30 top-selling albums in Canada in 2001. And the singles that came off of here were Fat Lip, In Too Deep, and Motivation. This had a lot of mixed reviews when it came out. A lot of people didn't like it, and a lot of people hated it.
This is still the era where you can release an album on the merit of the singles, and it will sell platinum because you have to buy the album for the singles.
Yeah.
You know who produced this one? Jerry Finn. As we were talking about Jerry Finn on a couple of the other episodes we did, Jerry Finn produced this one, as he was doing with all these like punk rock bands at the time that were getting some speed, some attention. Derick just released his memoir a couple months ago, by the time this is out, where he talked about the producer of the second and third records. So we won't go into that. Read the memoir, but bad.
Not good.
Bad. In this case, this was Jerry Finn, producer of Blink-182, producer of AFI, producer of Green Day, producer of Rancid, punk background, bringing it to the mainstream. So good on you, Jerry. R.I.P. Miss you. He brought so much to this genre that we like look at now, and it's like, dude, how did you do so much? Jerry Finn is the reason we have emo music like we do today, period. He influenced so much in like the records that he did. He produced like the biggest pop punk records. He made the most game-changing emo records of all time. He worked with like all these like old school punk bands. And then because he worked with Blink-182 and produced Travis Barker, and then Travis Barker went on to work with John Feldman, who produced fucking everybody else. It like all trickled down from like Jerry Finn to everybody else. Well, before we get into our thoughts and our opinions on this record, make sure you are subscribed. We are going through every record that has ever been made. So if you don't subscribe, you'll miss the next thousands of episodes. So make sure you are subscribed and hit a like if you are enjoying this run of nostalgic album reviews. If When We Were Young announces a 2025 run with different records, we might skip over some and go back to that. But for right now, we're just talking about records that we love, that we care about, maybe ones that people have recommended. Drop a comment if you want to recommend one to us. We might get to it.
There's so much filler and no killer here. I'm lying.
Wow, because that was literally how I was going to start my section.
Sum 41 is a fantastic band, and I loved them for so long. I think I've started finding out more about them when I was in probably late middle school, early high school. I would obviously hear Fat Lip on Fuse, and I remember watching Fuse and seeing these music videos, and I was like, this is what I'm into. It's aggressive. The vocals are raw. It's raspy. This is the type of stuff that I really enjoy and like. And listening to All Killer, No Filler, I never listened to this full album until later, actually. I listened to Does This Look Infected first. I love that album. And then I also listened to Screaming Bloody Murder, which is also one of my favorite Sum 41 albums as well. But they never play it live. Please play more of it. No, well, you can't. They're done. In my head, you will.
They're breaking up.
They're done. I'm very sad about it. All Killer, No Filler was this album that came out at such an early time when punk and emo pop punk was hitting the mainstream. And I think the cause for so much like divisiveness with what people wanted from the mainstream and like saying, oh, this is a 4 out of 10. This is unsavory. This is a C+. I just think it's because people weren't ready for this aggressiveness that has been underground for so long, hitting the radio waves, and then also at the time, potentially, allegedly influencing the youth. I think that's the best part of it, though.
The streets of Ontario.
Yeah. This is just such a good transitional album from regular punk into pop punk, and this is going to be this actual bridge that we use to get over the hurdles. From this album, we hear a lot of also some more metal elements too in a couple of songs as well. It is obviously of the time, and with their influence too, they're incorporating this kind of thrash punk vibe. But I think that's just to say they have always been these like showstoppers and game changers too, because I've seen them many of times and they put on a phenomenally fun show. Their style has evolved throughout all these years, but they've never strayed away from the actual ethos of what is all killer, no filler. They have just repurposed it and matured it in different ways.
It's crazy that you said that joke at the beginning, because I was going to say it's brave to call a record all killer, no filler when there's so much filler on this record.
Oh my God.
The reviews are right. This record's not that good.
No, this record's great.
This record's not that good.
He's a hater.
I listened to this back in the day too, of like, I have never listened to the full album. I've only listened to the singles. I heard Fat Lip on MTV and I was like, wow, this video's great. This band sounds good. This is exactly the other type of music that I'm listening to. I'm in. I'm sold. Let's listen to more. And In Too Deep came out. I'm like, great. Perfect. Oh, wait. I've never listened to that record. Oh. It's because those are the two songs on this record. Those are the two of the songs on this record. Like I said, there are albums that people bought because it was the only way to get the singles on it. So this one very much felt to me like we had a few good songs. We got to flesh it out to like 13 tracks at 32 minutes, which also kind of lets you know, it's like, we got to fill this out, man. We got to get to 32. Debut record. It's not unheard of. It's not, unrealistic to do that. Even on this repeat listen, I was like, there's just so much here that doesn't hit nearly as good as Fat Lip, nearly as good as In Too Deep. I found that on some of the songs, there's like clearly like better vocal performances on the songs that are the singles that are missing from the other. Like, I don't feel like Derick has the conviction in his voice in some other songs on this record. And I don't know why. I'm like, you can just do the same thing you did on Fat Lip over and over again. And it's good because Fat Lip is a great song. Stands the test of time. It's amazing today as it was the day this came out. So like, just do that 13 times. And it's like, no, we did it once. We don't want to do it more. It's like, could you? There are a lot of parts on this where I'm like, you already used that vocal line. You already did that. Don't do it again. Why are you doing it twice? All your songs are going to end up sounding the same. Ah, shit. Couldn't name you which one those are right now because they all sound the same. They're all the same song.
No.
This band clearly got better later. They've had a long, illustrious career. I know everyone in the comments will be like, Chuck is underrated. It probably is. Does Look Infected, underrated.
Oh my God, yes.
There's a lot of stuff that they did post this record, which we've had with a lot of these. Like your first record, or maybe the initial break into the mainstream was not the one, but the next one where you like had more time, more money, more whatever behind it ends up becoming the one with more of your good songs. On this one, I'm like, this is clearly a record that was purchased for the two main singles because iTunes didn't exist yet. Probably got a lot more credit for being really good in the scene, when I think the reviewers are correct. It's a C+ at best. I would probably throw C- out there.
Whoa.
I still don't care for this record that much. I think the singles are it. That's all it is.
I mean, they still tap into their punk roots a lot here. That is something that...
Yeah, they should tap into their songwriting roots here.
But that's the thing with punk. It's not always going to be like the most overly profound lyrically, as long as you get the general
not
point
lyrically,
across.
Song. There's plenty of punk songs that are songs. This is like, what if we did the same song like 8 times? And it's like, okay, what are you going to do for the other 5 songs that you need to fill this record out with? I like Sum 41 as a band. This just probably isn't the record that I want to revisit all the time for my Sum 41 fix. I want to probably revisit Does Look Infected and Chuck and other ones in their catalog. Sorry, Jerry Finn. R.I.P.
So, Brian, even though you're a hater here, what are some top tracks that stood out to you?
Unfortunately, it is the singles. I do like Motivation.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Which also, I guess, is technically a single, but definitely not as big as In Too Deep or as Fat Lip. But I think Motivation is a good song. It's definitely got something more unique about it than a lot of the other songs on this record. I think this is one that if I was seeing them live, I'd be like, yeah, let me sing along to this one and I can enjoy it. Putting that one as the third best track on this record.
Oh my God.
Number 1 is Fat Lip and number 2 is In Too Deep, which are amazing songs, by the way. The band that wrote a lot of the songs that I don't care about also wrote a song that is incredible.
Yeah.
You can be both. It's very like the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus to me. Is like, I loved these 4 songs and everything else didn't need to be here for me at all. I would have been like, 4-song EP, amazing. You put out your hottest fire. In this case, it's a little bit of the same. Like, just give me your hottest fire and let's let that ring, to the masses. Let's let that get out there. Platinum EP. Measuring it a little bit because I'm just like, dude, I don't want to be too harsh on this one record, but it's those 3 songs and that's about it. What are your top tracks from a record that you fucking love and don't have anything negative to say about?
Oh, let's talk about the opener. Nothing on My Back. It's a ripper. Sick ass guitar intro. It sets you up really well to establish what is going to happen throughout the rest of the album. You want to have a good opener so you know what you're getting yourself into. This is setting it up to be skate punk vibes. We are in the pit moshing. We're being goofy, silly, and we're just like thrashing around.
Every time there's a punk, like a skate punk thing or a punk rock thing or something that's like
he's
leaning a
not
little bit too much in that,
cool.
I'll just be like, who's good at that? AFI. You know who else is good at that? Probably somebody else, but AFI is the
Brian
best
just
at
doesn't
it.
like punk music. We know it's really tragic.
This is not punk music. This is pop punk.
It's borderline
This is
on both.
Canadian Blink-182. Like, get me one of those for our country.
Give me one of those
too.
little guys.
Yeah, give me one of them for Canada.
Well, it's going to relate to because with rhythms, I really enjoyed it because it reminds me a little bit of Blink-182 with some of the rhythms that are in there. It repeats a lot, but I think that this is good too because this could have been honestly a single. And I'm not entirely sure why they didn't go that route because this is very attainable to the normal person's ear with the sound and how it also is a little bit similar in the vein of Blink-182 as well. I really enjoyed it. I think it's really fun. It still has that overall punk aggression, but it is more digestible for the general public. The other one I did really like was Pain for Pleasure, which is the last song.
Which is fine, yeah. It's fine.
It's a fast punk track.
They had that at the end of the Fat Lip video. So it's like also like one whole thing all together.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that at the time. I remember being like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's funny. Like, that's a goofy little goof. That's cool. So I like that song too.
Yeah.
But it's not a Sum 41 song as much as it is like a joke being like, we are Iron Maiden.
This is a band at this time that didn't take themselves that seriously.
Like Blink-182.
This was more aggressive.
What's the area code in Toronto? They're from Ajax,
I
Ontario.
don't know what that means.
From the greater Toronto area.
All right.
They're from Toronto. Toronto.
Have you been to Toronto?
I've been in the airport.
Okay, expert. Let's calm down.
You used to call me on my cell phone late night when you Sum 41. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm ending it early. You started singing Hotline Bling and everybody turned off.
Something that stood out to me on overall on these tracks is I kept thinking like, wait, this also sounds similar, non-Blink-182 vein. This reminds me of Alistair.
Of course it does. But you never listened to that album either, so
Fantastic album.
Of course you like it. It was in Disney Skateboard.
Yeah, Disney Skateboard rules my life.
Tony Hawk is rolling over in his grave.
He's not dead. He's just
Tony
a
Hawk
grandpa.
is ollieing in his grave. 900ing is his grave. I had some spicy takes already. Do you have any spicy takes about Sum 41's I'll Kill or No Filler?
I do think that because of this time, when we re-listen back to it now, we're going to pick out a lot more similar sounds to other acts.
I have said what I've said. I feel like a lot of the songs on here are filler. So my spicy take is that it's brave that you titled it that. Also, like a great marketing point is like, nah, don't worry. Like you're going to get all killer and no filler on this. And then somebody buys it and they go, oh, quite a bit more filler than I expected based on the name of the record. A lot of the stuff on this just is of that era where you did not need to be making a full record at the time. You had gold on your hands. It didn't need to be 13 tracks. It didn't need to be 30 minutes long. but there were certain limitations of the era that it had to be sold on a CD. You had to have stuff on MTV. You had to have like the main couple of singles. The record label would be like, I don't hear a hit, whatever it is. So things have changed a lot since then. But the era of 2001 when this came out is just a very specific time, very specific in the industry. So I don't shade the fact that Sum 41 made the record that they made. I just will acknowledge that like it's not something that I'm going to listen to as a full unit. I will listen to it as the singles because they are gold, platinum selling singles. So props to that. And catch us on the review of Does This Look Infected in a year and a half.
Whoa, that's really specific.
Those are our thoughts and opinions on Sum 41's All Killer No Filler. But before we end the episode, let's talk about the legacy of this album. 23 years long of this album. What would you describe the legacy of this record as?
I think it's very much a pivotal pop punk record because it kicked off a good sound and trajectory for what a lot of people wanted to emulate and be without negating so much of their punkness originally. And I just think overall, Sum 41 has kept up their career through so many like ups and downs, but has also matured in different ways. I mean, their last couple of albums with like 13 Voices, Heaven and Hell, and also looking at Screaming Bloody Murder very loosely too, they ended up going a little bit more in the hard and active rock route without getting too off base from the original sound that their main fan base grew up with them with. You could say the band that does that Fat Lip song or In Too Deep, and people say, oh, okay, that one. I just think they've done so much more and they've left such a significant imprint on our music scene and culture that I think once they do actually like fully wrap up the tour and they're done, you know, forever allegedly, that people are going to actually say, oh, there's something missing in this scene.
I think that there's a lot of news right now about Sum 41 because they are calling quits. They're doing like their final tour. Derick has released his memoir. There's all this stuff. You know, obviously like Sum 41 has been a band for a very long time, and props to them for keeping it together and doing it for that long. According to what's in Derick's memoir, like probably, you know, was a tough ride, tough journey to get there. I'm very happy that they've had such a good career and they can end it on such a high note. I don't think this record really changed a lot for me. I do think that Fat Lip and In Too Deep are some pop punk songs that like just stand the test of time and will always be there. I think that Sum 41 can retire because they can make a lot of money off of just those two songs because they're very good. I will say this, I have heard a couple of songs off of Heaven and Hell and I was like, who's this weird MGK ripoff? Oh, that's Sum 41.
No, Brian, you're done being able to review.
Dopamine is legit.
Good.
Dopamine is legitimately just an MGK song. It's really bad. I don't care for it. I want Sum 41 to stay true to themselves and make the music that they love and they want to make. And they're retiring, so they won't do that no more. So props to them for existing as long as they have. Props to them for keeping it together as long as they did. Props to them for being a band that made, you know, this music and could play and perform so well for so long, considering all the shit that they went through. And I wish them the best. Dopamine is such a bad fucking song.
It's a good song, Brian.
Literally sounds like MGK, but bad.
Guys,
and there are even people in the audience who go, MGK isn't good. It's like, yeah, it's worse than that. Whatever you think MGK sounds like.
All right, we're going to end this podcast actually forever right now.
This is the last episode. Sum 41 and the Emo Social Club retire at the same time.
Crazy.
Those are our thoughts and opinions on Sum 41's All Killer No Filler. What do you think? Do you agree with Lizzie? Do you agree with me? It's fine. Whichever way. I don't really mind. It's okay. Just let us know in the comments. Let us know with a like. If you like Sum 41, like it. If you dislike Sum 41, like it. Derick Whibley is checking all the videos about his band. Now, he's got time. He's retired.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Let us know in the comments what you think. We have many more videos like this coming out, many more reviews of other classic, iconic records coming to the channel. Make sure you are subscribed to know when those come out. You will be surprised delightfully. But until Sum 41 and until All Killer No Filler, we'll see you there.